Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the podcast and the channel, and this is a wild one. So, bear with me. I spent the last 5 to 6 hours, probably even a little bit more, just today and then time over the weekend, building a Mexican soccer league model during the sports apocalypse when there's no MMA on the weekends, and honestly, projecting Mexican soccer out of the 3 sports left, soccer, League of Legends, and MMA might be the easiest, which is wild, but we are here. We are at this point. Have it broken down by position here, and I'm going to be doing probably daily analysis on this in terms of just a higher level look earlier in the day. There's a 2-game slate today. I went on Patreon earlier this morning and gave you the basics to just soccer DFS in general, the scoring, what's weighted heavily, how to project things, where to find information, what's important, all of that. A lot of it is summed up into these models, into these sheets. These will be available on Patreon during this time. There will also be quick videos today or on a day-by-day basis as long as the soccer league continues. I don't know how they're still going, but just wild down there. Still playing soccer, sweating all on each other. But with that being said, over on Patreon, there'll be further analysis, sort of more detailed interests, and then obviously these sheets to sort through and really look at in a more clear resolution. But with that said, welcome to the podcast and the channel if you're new here. If you're just a gambling, somebody who does, not degenerate, but somebody who loves to gamble, and really just loves to play DFS and as an entertainment thing, right? And a hobby with the upside to win. And you just stumbled upon my channel because, man, there's not much going on and this is about it. And maybe you searched and this is what you found. I before I started making these videos and doing the models, I typed in soccer DFS and it is skyrocketing, as you would imagine, in Google search and YouTube search right next to MMA. And with MMA not going on pretty much 6 days a week, 5 to 6 days a week, I'm going to be covering this during the week. So if you are new here and you get any value from this video, wild that I put these models together. I'm still baffled. But yeah, please do hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to shoot for 20,000 by the end of March. And the whole sports apocalypse during this time right now, coronavirus, has made that a little bit difficult. But we do have Mexican soccer and there are 20 to 50, potentially $50,000 prize pools coming really soon during the weeks here. So there's going to be more content coming out. I want to get ahead of the game on that. I want to be very detailed with it. So what I have done here is pretty much created models for each position: forwards, mid defenders, and then finally goalies. So those are the 4 main rosterable positions. There's differences between each of them from what you want to look for, and I'll go through the high level stuff pretty much for scorers. Is you want to look for shots on goal, you want to look for crosses, how many people are going those. I have those per 90, which is per 90 minutes for each player. It gives you an efficiency metric. I have how much of those they have per game, which is important to also look at. The minutes being played will give you an idea of who's being subbed in and being subbed out for. So for instance, Jonathan Rodriguez, the most expensive forward on the screen behind me, and I'll go position by position and kind of talk about some things, but just for a high level, he is playing right now 86 minutes per game that he starts. He started 22 games this year, and just in general, he's playing 82 minutes. So even when he doesn't start, he's still seeing a lot of minutes there. Right now, he's second out of all forwards on this slate, out of the 2-game slate in goals. And he has a lot of crosses, by far the most crosses on this slate for any forward, which is something you don't usually see. You usually see your wings and your middies having most of the midfield defenders having most of the crosses, even some of the defenders compared to your forwards. So it's a good versatile player, but that's why DraftKings has him priced as a very high $9,300. So you're looking for all these different types of scoring. I have all the statistics here. It's a model for Mexican soccer. So if you're interested, you can screenshot it right here. If you want higher resolution, that's available on Patreon, as well as just more detailed analysis from an interest standpoint and questions to be answered. But for right now, let's get into this. This is going to be a daily thing for, hopefully it doesn't just last today and then we get news that they're done, but they're playing without fans as of right now. Again, have no idea how they're playing, but let's just hope that this stays through. So this hard work kind of pays off for at least a week or two. But thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. I'm an independent content creator. If you are new to my channel, or if you're returning, welcome. I do appreciate you being here as well. And pretty much this is a major thing with no sports going on right now. So trying to dive into new sports, one, I mean, it's teaching me some Google Sheet stuff in the background, which is pretty cool. Learned a lot over the past couple of days. But also I just want to continue to have the content coming out in searchable content. I'm going to be releasing MLB team previews, which will be valuable as the season gets closer. But I also want things that people are searching for on a daily basis. And it's only a matter of time until the sports that are available become very high level in all of their payouts, like we saw from MMA this weekend. So I do believe we're going to get those from Mexican soccer. And if you have any type of model like this, just compared to people who don't right now and increase prize pools, yeah, there's a lot of upside. I already have all my contests reserved for today, which is wild. But with that being said, starting with the forwards, yeah, Jonathan Rodriguez stands out the most, and he's priced over $1,000 more than anybody else, but it makes sense. I mean, He's only one of a handful of forwards who's going to see a solid amount of minutes. You have to roster multiple forwards today. He's a player who right now is second out of all the forwards on this, but Mario, who right now has 80 or 15 goals compared to Mario's 17, but the assists are where it really drops off. It's boom or bust with Rodriguez, so it's a situation where there's not a lot of other upside here. But he only has 2 assists on the year, so you're looking for goals. You're hunting goals at this point. The things that are nice about him, though, is he's second out of all these forwards in tackles won. Tackles won increase your points overall, so do interceptions from a defensive standpoint, and he's first out of all forwards there. So he's very active in all different areas. So if you're not getting that goal, unlike most forwards who don't get the goals, and that's upside 10 points is the highest there, then 6 points for an assist, you still have upside from him drawing the 3rd most fouls out of all the forwards on this slate, most pretty much tackles won and interceptions, and then he's also leading in crosses. So crosses per start is pretty huge. You get 0.7 points for just a cross or any set pieces, so that's going to be big. He's up there in all those categories. Pretty much out of all the starters on this slate, he leads everything in shots on goal. He leads everything in shots per 90 that aren't on goal, and then crosses. So 9,300, there's a little bit of a boom bust factor with any forward, especially him when you factor in he doesn't get assists, but he kind of makes up for that in different areas. I have interest there. I have interest in the top 3 price guys pretty much here. Viñas is going to be interesting as well from a standpoint of you're probably not going to get as many. And this is actually, I have this backwards. So it's Martinez. Viñas is supposed to be a no here. So Martinez is interesting because only 16 starts, but even in the games that are started, you're getting 84 minutes. So that's fantastic. Games that aren't started, you're still getting 77 minutes. So obviously you want as many minutes as you can get. Very active. I mean, 6 assists at this point. You're looking at a situation where you're getting a lot of the points being picked up from fouls drawn. Your downside is paying $6,600 for somebody who doesn't score goals, just 2 scored goals on the year. So it's very top heavy at forward right now. If you're looking for value here, I do think that there's upside in this 6K mid-range between Julio Furch and Henry Martin. So what you get there is players who play a ton of minutes. I mean, per match, they're playing pretty much the most minutes, and very good value right now coming in, depending on if you just get healthy Milton and Martin at this point. Tons of minutes there. You have Martin, who scored 10 goals so far at a $6,500 price tag or $6,300 price tag. Very good price point for the upside in terms of goals. And also what you're getting there is you're also getting a lot of tackles won, second most on the slate for a forward, and the second most interceptions from a defensive standpoint. So a pretty decent points per 90, which is similar to points per minute in the NBA for this slate, and getting a good amount of quality starts and playing a ton of minutes. So the $6,200 to the $6,500 price range for forwards is very valuable today outside of Jonathan Rodriguez all the way up top. I'm going to have interest in all of them. If you're looking to punt the position, there's really not much here. As a huge underdog, Salas at 5,700 right now. Somebody who does score a decent amount of goals, 7 goals so far, you're just not getting a lot of minutes. This is somebody who gets subbed out for. So in 17 starts so far, or minutes per start at 76. So that's decent, but even then still getting subbed for. Minutes per match is only 59. So the goals are there. If you see a start here, it's very impressive because Salas is second in total crosses right now at 2.18, only behind Rodriguez. So there is upside. Most fouls drawn, which is a point each time you get one of those, is also Maximiliano, messing that name up. And also, by the way, I'm going to pronounce most of these names wrong, and I completely apologize to the people, their families, and anybody who gets insulted by improper names. I have never, and I'm sure many people watching this right now have never heard most of these players' names pronounced, so I do apologize for that. But $5,700, yes, this is an upside play. So those are my plays at this point. I'm actually going to be taking off Mario at 7,900. So it's either all the way up for me. I think there's a really strong mid-range at forward right now based on the statistics and analytics and just the way that you can pick up points in DFS soccer. And then punting at the $5,700 price tag is in play. Your midfield defenders, these are going to be the people who see a lot of crosses, which is important for you, and really a good amount of shots as well, depending on them. But you're going to see most of the crosses here. You can see in column Z, which is all the way over here, I'm highlighting it right now, that huge numbers compared to the forwards. The forwards, if you're lucky, they were getting 2 crosses per start. Some of these middies, I mean, you see 8 crosses per start for Kevin Mercado, 8.83 crosses per start. Now, the problem is he's only started 6 games at this point, and he's only seeing 39 minutes per match, so that's a little bit of a smaller sample outlier. But if you want some more stability there, you can see some of these 4.57 and 4.05 crosses per start with minutes, which is important. A very good play today is going to be Juan Delgado. Juan Delgado is 79 minutes per match so far, 5 goals, 4 assists, and a penalty attempt. So most of the time, your middies aren't going to take a lot of penalty attempts. Those will be some of your forwards at that point, which was on the previous screen. But what you're getting here is you have 5 goals. 1 is going to come on that penalty attempt, and you have 4 assists. You're seeing 9 total opportunities to score, which is one of the highest in the slate, even when you factor in some of the forwards. And what you're getting out of that is you're getting a $6,700 price tag. So 22 starts so far is the most, or second most right now out of anybody on the midfield defenders. So it's very good price. $7,200 for Juan Delgado is somebody that I'll be trying to get to. 55 fouls also drawn is one of the higher ones that you'll see. So that's pretty good. If you want to go lower, some spots that do stand out to me at least is going to be Fernando Gory. So Gory at this point, you have 89 minutes per match started, 25 total starts. There's a huge sample size here. You're not going to get goals. That's the issue. So you're going to have to try and rely the most on just tackles won, which he leads in this category, fouls drawn, which he leads by over 30, just picking up like almost 4 fouls drawn per contest, almost substituting an assist for all the fouls drawn. And then interceptions leads everybody except for, at this point, Rivas at 39. So these are just some pay down options. But I think the players up top that you're going to want, any of the guys up top, like $8,000 plus, you're going to have to pay for it. But these are people who are scoring, not only scoring goals, but have a ton of crosses. Like they're Hernandez and Diego Valdez, they're going to be wildly expensive because what you're getting right now out of them is a combined 10 goals and assists per person. Now you have to make sure that they're starting, and if they're not, they're very active, but they're not playing full games at this point. But what you're also getting is just by far like the most shots on goal, the most shots per game in general. Both of those over 3 shots per 90 on general, at least 1 shot per goal. And then you're also getting the big number, which is the crosses. You're getting Valdez getting in there for almost 6.5 crosses, a little bit over that per start at this point. And then Hernandez 5.8, which is pretty much the 2 highest if you take out the smaller sample of Delgado or Mercado that we talked about earlier. So Diego Valdez, Eliza Hernandez stand out. You're going to get less minutes on them, which isn't great, but they're going to be way more active and effective with each one of their minutes that they're out there on the field. If you're looking for somewhere a little bit more stable with the minutes and overall upside, I think Juan Delgado provides a lot of that. He pretty much scores in every single category, and he does play a good amount of minutes at this point. The one downside would be that he has 4 yellow and red cards combined, which is negative points, and obviously less time overall. But Juan Delgado looks like a pretty solid mid-range option at this point for me. Going down a little bit more, very similar to Delgado at 5,800, you have Roberto Alvarado. So Alvarado at this point plays a lot of minutes, has 10 combined goals and assists, 6 assists, which is very good. You're going to also get points for just assisted shot attempts as well. So there's upside there. Once again here, downside is just 5 yellow cards and red cards. So you run a little bit of a risk for an aggressive player. You can see that by 46 fouls drawn, 26 tackles won at this point. So I do think that Roberto Alvarado at 5,800, also a very strong play. And then you could look down the list on here as well. I don't really want to punt with anybody as we go lower because they don't have a lot of crosses, and I want to get crosses. I don't want to just rely on goals out of these cheap guys. I want some sort of stability in my lineup. So that's the one downside I would say with Alvarado, is that you're banking on more goals at that $5,800 price tag, whereas Juan Delgado is still getting crosses. So when you're looking at the middies, try and factor in 1, playing time, 2, what is their upside, their ceiling when it comes to goals and assists, but then also what is their floor when it comes to interceptions, tackle won, fouls drawn, and crosses. And those are all on the right side in the miscellaneous column on my spreadsheet. That's where I'm at right now. I didn't go through and list any of the yeses and nos for middies at this point like I did for forwards. Those will be available on Patreon, and I'll be sure to list them in previous videos. Also, let me know what you currently think of this format of the videos. It's very similar to what I do for NFL, XFL, just go position by position, golf as well for salary ranges, to kind of have a thought process. If it seems like it's a little bit all over the place for this first podcast and YouTube channel, just bear with me. This is my first time covering DFS soccer, and as somebody who is very analytical based, factors and projections a good amount, and will be playing a lot tonight, it is also going to be a first time for me in a lot of areas. So hopefully this information is helping you. I understand people coming in and saying like, oh, you're not no soccer tout. And I'm not trying to be a soccer tout. I'm just trying to relay to you important information that you will need and provide that for you. I'm not trying to tout anything. These are just what I'm seeing based on the data that I've been analyzing and put together. If you want to use the information, that's completely fine. Hopefully it is helpful. And let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you have any recommendations, but I'll be trying to tweak this throughout the following weeks and months at this point. So getting over to the defenders, this is going to be a very interesting spot because you're just going to really get no crosses here. Some players will get crosses, the high-end defenders, really your center backs, and that's exactly why they're priced up. Like Gonzalez at the top here does see 6 crosses per game, does play 90 minutes per start and 75 minutes per match that he does play, so even if he doesn't start, seeing a lot of minutes. So yeah, at 5,300, absolutely stands out as somebody who has a ton of potential. When it comes to goals, no goals, but 2 assists so far this year. When it comes to picking up points anywhere else, he does pick up tackles won with 19. So it does stand out a little bit. Chavez Soto is actually really interesting. So 22 starts so far, 89 minutes per start, 82 minutes per match. So you're getting a ton of minutes out of Soto. No goals, but 2 assists as well. Very similar to the top price Gonzalez here. But then also what you're getting out of Soto at this point is a lot of upside when it comes to a couple of things. Crosses, you're getting 3.14 crosses just per start at this point. That's third out of any of these guys, and he's priced as like the 12th most expensive defender. And then what you're also getting out of him is right now ranking first in tackles won. And again, tackles won, you're getting points for that, and a decent amount of points. If you're picking up right now, like he is, over 2 tackles won per game, almost 3 at this point, you're getting a lot of points there. Fouls drawn, he's contributing in that category as well. Your downside, obviously, is you're not going to get the goals at this point, but really all you're hoping for is you're hoping to pick up a couple of those crosses, a couple of the set pieces. If playing out there for this many minutes, 80 plus, is going to land him an assist at that point, is going to land him 3 tackles won, you take it, and really at the end of the day, you're paying a $3,000 price tag for it. So what you're hoping for there is his average fantasy points per game right now at this point is going to come in around 6. So what you're hoping for there is that this is the game that the upside hits a little bit and you get around that 10 point. Most of the defenders on a daily basis are going to score you like 6 fantasy points anyways. Players that have a more consistent role in their offense when it comes to set pieces, like Gonzalez, is going to be a little bit better. Does also take a couple of shots. You're getting around 0.76 shots per game from him, but that's about it. Bruno Valdez is another one. He takes some shots. He also draws fouls. He is at 3,900. He does play a good amount of minutes as well. Has 2 goals and 2 assists on the season. You also get 1.19 shot attempts per game. So those are points right there just for having attempts. You have about a quarter of them from a on net perspective. So the only issue for Valdez is you're not getting the crosses, so he's more of your boomer bust. He's going to take a couple more shots per game, but you're pretty much not going to get anything from a crosses perspective, and it might even balance out over the long run. When he hits his goals in some games, it'll pay off for you, and then most of the games, he's just going to be drawing dead. So all the way up top, Gonzalez stands out as a defender. You can get to the other ones. I mean, if you're just looking from points per 90 as just sort of an overall arching at what you can find here, Luis Fernando is going to come through with just shots on goal. He's going to have a decent points per 90 at 0.26. It's the second highest on this slate for defenders. Adrian is going to come through at 4,900 with 0.27, most points per 90 of any of these defenders, but also that's going to factor in the fact that he does pick up scoring. He has 4 assists. He has 2 goals. But when it comes to crosses, when it comes to shots on goal, he's a little bit lower there. So he's very scoring dependent. And maybe if you're paying up, you don't want that. I'd rather go up to Gonzalez, who's going to get you those crosses, which are very meaningful. So Gonzalez stands out, mid-range options in Valdez and Soto. If you're trying to just punt the position completely, I do think that Pablo Cesar Aguilar, he does stand out at least a decent amount when it comes to, he's just scoring. Like he has 5 goals at this point. You'll have to see if he's starting, but he has started 24 just the matches at this point. He has 5 goals, no assists, but he also does pick up interceptions. So you're getting a boomer bust player if you're trying to just punt the entire position with some sort of upside and try and bank in on the 1 out of every 5 games that this guy puts one in the net. That's where I would go. He's playing a ton of minutes as well. And finally, goalies. So there's only 4 teams playing today, so you only got to worry about 4 goalies, which is nice. I'll blow this all the way up, and then we can work through some things. But for goalies, it's based on Vegas odds. The most expensive guy will be the guy who's the biggest favorite. The cheapest guy will be the guy who's the biggest underdog. On this slate, you have a pick'em game, so that's where you're getting the $4,900 and the $4,600. It's a pick'em. Right now, there's no line on it. So they're both at like +1 or -168, +168. It's a straight up pick'em. So really, I would rather just punt or pay all the way up. If you're paying up, you're locking in a closer, clean slate, which is just a shutout, 5 points, and a win, which is 5 points. You have a better opportunity at the win and a better opportunity at the shutout if you're a decent-sized favorite. Now, he's not a huge favorite here, but he's $1,300 more. Rizoko, he's $1,400 more, but he's only a 132 favorite. There's about a 2.75 game total here, so each team's implied to have like 1.25 goals. Pretty much, it's very close to a pick'em. So, I mean, depending on who's going to be starting, and if it is Gonzalez at the bottom end at 4,100, I'm just going to go there. What you get out of the cheaper goalies is 1, more shot attempts on goal. If you give up a goal, it's only -2 points. If you save a goal, it's +2. So if you're facing 8 shots on goal and you have 6 saves and you give up 2 goals, you're still coming through on the positive, but for a cheaper price tag. So, yeah, you have a ton of saves here, and the statistics look good. The best save percentage on the slate is the cheapest guy in the slate, 73.6, with not a crazy total against him in terms of overall spread from each side of it. So just goal attempts per game, you're getting 82 saves right now, which is pretty wild. 3.42 saves per start. That makes sense because they're trailing in a lot of these, so you're seeing more starts, but he's also not allowing goals. He's allowing some of the least goals on this 2-game slate, pretty much right there as the least, but he's also having the most saves. So pretty solid at 4,100. Maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe people who tune into the show can let me know that they have now switched goalies or something. And that's the thing. Like, I'm taking a view at this from an analytical standpoint. I'll look at the qualitative stuff, who's in the lineups, and from what I've been told, and what I can tell from just looking at past lineups and Fantasy Cruncher and Fantasy Labs and things like that, Rewind, is that a lot of the times people will play zeros, and it's just because news comes out like 1 or 2 hours before these games start, similar to NBA. That's when the lineups are announced, and for the most part, some things will change each night, but for the most part, it's pretty consistent and stable, like the MLB from that matter. But win upside's important. The most wins on the slate are the guys that are currently the most expensive and the cheapest. So win upside is 5 points. Clean slates, if you have just at that point, if you're not giving up anything, it's a shutout, 5 extra points. So you can see all the winning percentages, clean shot percentages, penalty kicks. If you're stopping penalty kicks, you get extra points there. Obviously, if you give the kick up, you lose 2 points for the goal, which is kind of annoying, but that's the way that it works. So this is where I'm at. This is Mexican soccer. I know that 95%, if not higher, 99% of my viewing audience that sees this video, it will be your first time attempting Mexican soccer, maybe not soccer DFS in general, but hopefully this helps you. Again, I am not the best at pronouncing names when I have never heard them before, and it's from a different just background and everything. So I apologize if some of the names were wrong. I apologize if this was a little bit, maybe not all over the place, but a podcast that compared to my other ones was not as buttoned down. But a big reason why of that is I just spent the last 6 hours building these spreadsheets. So trying to put it all together at this point. Hopefully this is a good presentation style for you. Again, bear with me as we move forward through the next few weeks and months. There will be MLB team previews. There will be MMA content. I'll have some guests on the show. And then I'm going to, as long as they continue to run out this Mexican soccer, now that I have a model for it, it's easier to update. It's easier to just see at a high level what looks good and what doesn't, compared to other people who aren't getting to look at these color-coded statistics that actually matter in some of these models and projections. So hopefully this helps you. If you do want to have the access to the Excel downloadable sheet for this and just my interests, I'll put some guys on there as yeses for me instead of just maybes. The X is a maybe, the N is a no, and the Y is a yes. You can check out Patreon. I'll link it down below. There's also more content from MMA, and there's also more content from just a DFS strategy perspective podcast, MLB team previews, also going out over there. So my name's Sal Vetri. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel and also the notification bell. Head over to the podcast and hit the subscribe button as well. Again, we're getting through the sports apocalypse right now. So if you appreciate any of this content that I've been doing, I really appreciate just if you consider subscribing, considering supporting over on Patreon during what is, for a content creator in the sports, a very uncertain time. So thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, gang. This slate starts at 8 p.m. tonight, and best of luck. See ya. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed that video. Above my head, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, I do ask you if you can please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a good amount to reach more people. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's over there. Right in the corner is my @SalVetriDFS Twitter. And then above, you'll find my Patreon link. You can click on that if you want more exclusive content for me, or a video is going to pop up. So why don't you check that one out as well? I think it's going to be beneficial for you. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.